Welcome to another episode of Neon Radio Podcast. I'm Reece.
I'm Dan.
Most gracious Mrs. Pretty.
Wow.
I'm Declan.
Hey, didn't you reckon
Mr. Brown.
he sounded like the BFG guy? What's his name?
Mark Rylance.
Yeah.
He did actually.
He's
Yeah, he
I
did.
closed my eyes going, wow, that's Mark Rylance. That's Bridge of Spies.
We should probably let people know we're actually reviewing The
Yes.
Dig this week on Netflix at the moment. It's directed by Simon Stone, who's also directed The Turning and The Daughter. He also acted in works such as Kokoda, Beliebo, and The Eye of the Storm, and Being Venice. And they're all mainly Australian films.
He's an Aussie.
Yeah.
Born in Switzerland or something like that, I
Yeah,
believe.
that's it.
Yeah.
This is written by Moria, Moria? M-O-R-I-A. I don't want to butcher it. Already done. Buffini, and based on the novel of the same name by John Preston. Just a little bit of info on the actual film itself. And just to let you all know, we do spoil the film. So if you haven't seen the film yet, go and watch it, come back, and then listen to the review. Jumping into it, boys. I'm going to start with you, Declan.
Right on.
What are your thoughts? Initial thoughts this week?
Because I just remember just talking about it on the Die Hard one, just looking at each other.
Yeah, I know. It always comes to my mind.
One of
Maybe
these
laugh
ones?
that time.
One of these was a little...
No, it's just like a little island.
What is going on?
Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. I liked that when I didn't read anything about it before watching it, and when I was watching it, I thought it was going to be like Ralph Fiennes doing the English Patient again in his older years. Just the way that the story feels like it's going to be about him and Carey Mulligan character Mrs. Pretty getting together, but then it's not at all. It's like this story about unearthing this archaeological artifact, and it brings all these people together, and how that intertangles their lives and how that changes. They kind of all have a rebirth from it and everything. It was really nice.
Yeah,
It was shot like so beautifully.
so beautiful.
Yeah, I've got nothing on that. I've read some stuff about it. Yeah.
You didn't like it?
No. Well, you have to wait and find out.
I'm intrigued. Now I'm intrigued. I like that little mystery. Yeah, so you thoroughly enjoyed the film.
But I'm a sucker for a period piece. Let me but it has to be a good period piece.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to like it. But
Yeah.
it was. I really enjoyed it. This is sort of like my type of movie.
Well, this is set around the same type of... Because it's like early...
It's World War
1938,
II.
1939.
Start of World
Just
War
before
II,
World War II,
Yeah. It reminds me, like, I see all the dressing, like the dress and everything, all the, like, production design, and you're like... For some reason, my mind always jumps to Empire of the Sun.
Well, that was World War II.
I know, but
haven't watched
my
that
head
movie.
goes straight to it for some reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I thought across the board the performances were like really quite good.
Oh, yeah.
Ralph Fiennes is he's so interchangeable. Like he's just a chameleon, man. Like, I swear he's not talked about enough.
Lucas comes in and he goes, "Oh, what's this?" So it's a dig. They uncover an Anglo-Saxon ship from the Dark Ages, whatever it was. And I go, and that's Voldemort.
And you're like, hold on
And
a
he
minute.
goes, wow.
Yeah, and Carey Mulligan's really good. I haven't seen her in
she
anything for a
was
while. I
great.
feel like she's been quiet for a few
Yeah,
years.
she's... the last I remember her, like,
Drive.
big in was Shame.
Yeah. She was in. Yeah, there was a
She's been in
period there.
things since
She was
then.
in a lot of movies around that Shame time. She was in
Yeah.
heaps of stuff.
Like
Great
2011,
Gatsby, she was in as
12
well.
2012.
And also Lily James is good as well.
Oh, man, she just
really
keeps
good.
popping up.
Yeah.
Like in Yesterday, and then Drive Baby or Baby Driver.
Baby Driver.
Driver?
Yeah,
I feel so sorry for her, man.
Yeah, throughout the
The
film.
movie, yeah.
yeah.
It's like, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, it gets like what is generally a relatively happy ending.
Yeah, it is.
Relatively.
Yeah.
I mean,
even that character was
kinda
made up.
bittersweet.
That photographer.
Yeah,
Fuck, how good was his photos?
I looked up the photos,
Yeah, it wasn't
like the real ones.
They're not as good.
Some of them they were pretty cool though. Like they were like the ship looked exactly the same as it did.
Yeah,
in the
it
it
movie.
did, yeah.
And Basil Brown is like
Yeah.
seeing him standing around. I was like, wow, Ralph like really
Like,
really
really-
killed it.
Yeah.
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 yeah. The pipe just it really does.
I said to my girlfriend, I said, if I ever start smoking, it'll be
gonna be
with
a
a pipe.
I can imagine that too.
I couldn't pull it off, the pipe. I've thought of like a cigar, but the cigar, it's still not. I'm not big enough. You know what I mean? You need to be like a big boy to have like a cigar properly and look cool.
I like the cigars. They're good, eh?
You're a
Go
fan?
camping and that. We just have,
One or two.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
That's it. That's any time I smoke. That's anything I smoke. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not that anyone needs to know, but anyway.
Yeah.
No, this welcome
It's a
to
donation in my life.
this week's
Smoking's bad.
this week's update of Dan's delicacies.
Dan's nothingness.
It's briskets and
Nothing.
cigars. That's all it is.
He smokes his biscuits with cigars.
Yeah.
You don't believe it's like a row of cigars.
Tobacco flavored meat. Oh. I wonder if anyone should try that.
It's good. Yeah.
It probably tastes
No,
like
it
They
tastes like
taste
shit.
like rubbish.
yeah. Shoe leather.
Secondhand cigar smoke.
That's the stuff they say don't go around.
Yeah.
Thoughts, Dan, man?
Yeah. The first thing that grabbed my attention is, I reckon at least 90% of this was shot in golden hour,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and it looked fucking so good.
Early morning, eh?
Yeah, it was so damn good.
A lot of 5 a.m. wake ups for the crew.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Yeah.
And I like even the photographs that we were just talking before. They didn't half-ass that. They're fucking good photographs, man.
Yeah, man.
And it's like, man, this is amazing. And look, to the story, I enjoyed it. Great performances, from Ralph Fiennes and all that.
Yeah.
And again, I'm a sucker for period dramas, good ones. So whatever Declan said, I agree with. How does
What
that
a
make you
review.
feel?
That was nice.
Other than that, it's good. And I like that because he didn't want Carrie Mulligan's character. She wanted to invite Basil to dinner,
Yeah.
and she thought, maybe
Maybe
there
there's
must
something
something
there,
happen. Yeah, and then Buddy's wife comes in and she gets vagina blocked.
Yeah, well, but you also like.
Wow.
I thought it was really sweet too that you thought
I
you
guess.
thought that he might be tempted to leave his wife, but he's like this super loyal dude, and
Yeah.
they're like this really sweet couple.
Yeah, so good, man.
Yeah, it was really cool.
And even how the little boy looked up to him like a dad.
Yeah,
It was great.
yeah.
But yeah, I haven't really got much else to say about
Yeah,
it.
it's just-
it's a very simple movie. Yeah, warm movie. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, it seems to be the running factor that the film is. It's not like a crazy, it's not supposed to be telling a big extravagant story as much as it's trying to tell something very small and specific of a portion of time. And it has a lot to say, but very subtly.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't really want to ponder too much on anything. It doesn't have a main specific driving idea.
No, I think
just
it's
kinda has a story.
Yeah, I think it's it's more of a think piece, like a good book, kind of like The Last of Us Part 2, where it's like it doesn't really want to drive things. Although people would argue against this, it doesn't really want to drive things down your throat, but it's more like it throws you into like fly on the wall scenarios, and asks you to think, what do you think's happening here?
Yeah.
It doesn't explicitly say like, all those two guys are clearly in love with each other. It's showing you interactions between
Those
them, and
moments.
you're supposed to go, I think there's something going on between those two guys. You know, like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna do a drop here.
A drop.
Not a drop, like a thought. It's like a thought piece, like a piece of my brain.
All right.
When I was watching this,
Yeah.
I was looking at Ralph Fiennes. I'm going, I could see Daniel Day-Lewis playing this role,
Yeah.
Probably, yeah.
and that's a compliment to Ralph Fiennes,
yeah.
man. He's a fucking good actor, man.
Yeah. Is he Irish too?
I don't know, but
not
man,
sure.
Oh, he's
insane.
Welsh. He's Welsh because that's why his name's meant to be pronounced Rafe.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yes.
Ralph Fiennes. Wow.
Suffolk, England.
Oh, he's
Born in Suffolk, England.
His name is Welsh. He must have Welsh
Must have
ancestry.
ancestry,
or something like that.
yeah.
Yeah.
But that was pretty much into my notes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thoroughly enjoyed the film. And I liked how it was shot as well, because it was shot in this way where, what the first thing I thought was, I like how Terrence Malick goes out and does all this weird shit now. I do. I think it's pretentious and different, and he's doing his own little experimentation. But this would be the perfect type of style for him to do.
Yeah.
Like how the camera was moving was just enough to be like, it's different, but also enough to me be like I can follow a story.
Yeah, it's like, to me, it's like fleeting moments.
Yeah.
The only thing that took me away from it a little bit was the editing, because sometimes you don't know if the sound bites are from.
It took a little bit to settle in with the editing. It did take me about sort of like 15 minutes before I sort of felt settled.
And I'm going, oh, that's okay. And then it brings in the talking, because sometimes.
Yeah, talk over.
What do they call it in editing? Loose mouth? Is that what they call it? When someone's just miming like this. and there's someone talking over the background.
Yeah, I'm not sure actually. If that's a good
Yeah,
question.
no.
I think it's called loose mouth. Or
They
something
they
like that.
did like to
Okay.
do, but where conversations were happening, but the shots or like the visual wasn't that conversation. It was
Yeah.
them just sort of looking at each other,
Yeah.
and sharing glances. And so you were like,
It's sort of confusing a bit.
But that's why I got the Terrence Malick feel
yeah,
as well.
Yeah.
But
you know?
it
Yeah,
worked
still
for,
worked.
for me. It was a bit weird at the start, but then by the end, you know, when you had that moment where he's looking out at the stars and him and Cara Mulligan are having that conversation, but they're just staring at each
moment.
other. I was like, oh wow, it's really paying off now. The use of that technique throughout the
Yeah.
whole thing. So
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's when they were laying in the boat.
yeah.
oh no, yeah, that. But then
nearly teared up then, eh?
the just before that, when he was at his telescope and she
Oh,
came
yeah,
out and stood
yeah.
next
Oh,
to
yeah,
him,
yeah. Yeah.
that was when
Portion as well.
when I was like, yeah, this is really working for me now.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. The what was I gonna say? When that final moment of her on the boat,
Yeah.
or in the boat, you have like a feeling like, oh, this is her last great moment with her son.
Yeah.
And then the next scene, you see the son. I know he's just dressed in black, still looking sort of dapper and that. But all you needed to know was Ralph just lifts his hat up because he's always got his hat on, and that's where you go, okay, yeah, she's dead.
Yeah.
And I go, fuck, that's so good.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It's really subtle
Just
storytelling.
one,
Yeah.
hat move, boom, you go, yeah, because he never takes his hat off. So
Yeah.
you know he's just doing it out of respect.
The
Bang.
kid's also in full
Yeah,
black,
yeah.
and it looks
Yeah. So
very
those
formal.
two visual cues of like, yeah, she's dead. That's like, I reckon that's heaps good storytelling.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It was very good.
Way above my league.
Well, wow! Put yourself down there.
How smart is it? It's
It's
insane.
intelligent,
Yeah,
and
it's
also
really
like
good.
I do think there was moments there with Carey Mulligan's character where she was trying to tell Ralph Fiennes and his wife that, you know, hey, can you look out for my boy? You know, that she has that moment with the wife at the party, and you kind of have that thing where you're like, okay, I know what she's trying to do here. She sees that they would probably be a good fit to
And
look
also,
after
there
him.
was the drop that they clearly had troubles conceiving
Having
a child.
kid,
Yeah.
as
he
well.
stops saying what he's going to say, but then
Yeah.
so yeah, I was like, I wonder if they
That's
end
a
up. You
portion
don't
of
know.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jumping into the meat of the review, though, just some thoughts and stuff.
Yep.
The opening of the film reminded me a little bit of when there was a movie we watched a while back that you were talking about how there's a movie with Casey Affleck and a ghost.
Yeah. Oh, have you seen it yet?
I haven't seen it yet.
Have you watched that?
No, I've never heard of this before.
Oh, you guys
Is it
are
the
tough on it.
ghost? Is that it? Is that what it's
I
called?
think it's called
The
A Ghost Story.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's so good, man.
But the way the camera was moving there, it reminded me of what that movie would be like at the start, because it feels like you're a third person in the field walking with them.
Yeah.
Like the movement and feeling of it.
To me, it was like me. That is exactly what it's like when I'm shooting a wedding in a golden hour and then just walking around. I'm just shooting. Okay, just go there, do that. That's what I feel like to me.
Exactly
That's
the
cool.
same type
Yeah.
of But I don't know. That was like my first thought of it.
Yeah.
So much morning light again.
Oh,
so much
yeah.
golden hour.
Yeah.
The wides in it are amazing as well. There's a lot of cinematography in this that I couldn't stop looking at.
And what I did like is when they first reveal the boat, right? Or just important
Top down.
moments. Yeah, when just real important moments, they have it usually on sticks or on a like a jib or something on arm just to solidify the shot. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, that top down. There was so many moments. Just the wides, top down, straight ahead, always looked so appealing.
Yeah. I think the whole thing across the board was amazing, but there was two shots for me that really stood out because they were like starkly different, which was the Lily James and the pilot character in front of the campfire together.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And it was just the fire was the only source of light. That was really cool. And then, when Carey Mulligan, Mrs. Pretty, is at the doctor's surgery, and it pans out and it shows her sitting in the window, and then the shot stays on the outside of the building while she goes downstairs, puts her hat and coat on, and walks out the side door. I thought I was like, that is really cool.
Yeah.
It's good, man. Yeah.
So a little bit about Carey Mulligan in it. Things like she's really good, I find, at the whole pondering look. The whole like pondering something, thinking about something look. She does that a lot in her movies. And she does it in Drive, she does it in Shame.
Yeah.
She does it in Gatsby a lot.
Yeah.
So she just has that like a fine wine to be able to just look out and just look
Typecast.
like yeah, pretty much.
Can I have a
like
pondering
remorse.
look, actually? Yeah.
Remorse or mimose? What is the word? I don't know the word, but she just has that ability to look like she's just sad but thinking of something. And also I noticed in this that this is just an observation. Ralph Fiennes' eyes in it. I've always noticed he had blue eyes, but covered the man in dirt, and then it's just like, boom.
Yeah, they
Just
pop.
shot out.
Yeah.
It's basically covered in dirt for the whole movie.
Yeah, so that's why, like, at a distance, even in some of the shots, you can see his eyes are almost piercing, like they have like a shine. So we also know that Miss Pretty is also Mrs. Pretty is also a very lonely character throughout the whole of the film.
Yeah.
And having someone come through straight away brings that onto her that, you know, now I want someone around a little more. And it seems like as more people start to come into her life, she starts to not only get sicker, and that's one thing, but she starts to kind of get more frustrated because the people around her are giving her more to want to, you know, be a part of, but she seems to not be able to have the energy or anything to do anything. So I just wanted to touch on that was an observation as well.
Yeah, it's interesting too, story-wise, how it really starts off as like you feel like it's going to be the tale of Basil Brown through the whole thing, but then he kind of finishes his arc when his wife convinces him to go back to the dig. And that's kind of like his story kind of like it doesn't end, but his story kind of like fulfills its circle then, and he's kind of like got a purpose, and he's got no conflict from then on almost.
Yeah.
And then the story really becomes about Lily James and the pilot or the cousin and Carrie Mulligan. And like she's kind of like her last kind of like endeavor is to make sure that not only do these treasures get looked after, but that she can help someone make a positive decision in their life. And what she does, like her and Lily James become quite close. It's interesting, like the sort of way that it takes that turn and it doesn't feel jarring. It feels natural.
Yeah, it does. Like Basil leaving and then the son following along, and the turn happens pretty quickly. Yeah, but it doesn't happen at a pace where you're like, "What?" You know, it happens just fast enough for you to be like, "Oh, it." All he needed was his wife to tell him, you know, like,
just remind him why he does what he does.
Yeah, and then also this kid coming here to be like, you know, you promised me you would show me, and that kind of says, okay, it's a promise as well. Yeah. And that pushes him and drives him towards that direction. And you're right. After that, it really isn't anything but the hope that he will get recognition,
and that he kind of just is there for everyone. He's kind of just like this positive entity that people kind of lean on throughout the rest of the thing. Like he's nice to he's just a nice dude to everyone, really.
From there on, it's crazy because they've taken the sight away from him, and he goes back in. And he's like, "Good morning."
Yeah, he's really pleasant.
Like, what the hell? I'd be like pissed off.
Yeah,
I liked how they mentioned him in the museum and all that. Yeah, I was like, "Oh man, so good."
But only since
broke
recently.
My heart. It broke my heart when it said that he didn't get recognition.
Yeah.
Though.
I said, "You pricks."
Yeah, only till recently.
Poor bastard, yeah.
But supposedly he did, as I know of, he did actually. Reading on it, I think he did leave after they did come in. I don't think he stuck around for the whole thing. That's what I've read so far and seen on like videos and things. But they did come in and pretty much take it from him from there on, which is unfortunate. Also continuing on, some of like the key moments I really liked. Obviously, Brown giving John Jacobs the first credit on the first rivet.
Oh, yeah.
That moment, man, that killed me. I was like, you got to thank this boy. He found the first rivet.
Yeah.
And you're like, I got chills, man. I'm getting them now. Because moments like that in the movie always hit. And it was even like the speech at the end with Carrie Mulligan, and she says, and I have to give it to, Basil Brown, who has excavated the site, and you're like, this is amazing. Like all those little moments hit hard. And nothing hits harder than her laying in the ship,
that was
and
insane.
Her son pretty much telling her in a way that you'll be right. You know what I mean? It's almost like his part in peace with his mother.
That reminded me a bit of the scene in Last of Us when they're in the rocket ship.
Yeah.
Just a little bit of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look at my arms.
Yeah. Same. Yeah. It's
Yeah,
just-
that whole sequence with the voiceover and the ship was like that was really beautiful.
Yeah.
It was very. That was like the the old Viking burial in the ship. That's kind of what she was getting.
Yeah, the hero.
Yeah. It was
Queen to the Stars.
Yeah. It was really cool.
Damn, I'm gonna cry.
Yeah.
I think about it. The form of like way that she does die though, the pneumatic, it says here pneumatic fever damaged valves of the heart. I didn't look into it, but is that something that can be fixed now? I feel like there's so many advancements that probably
If it's a
now that
valve,
would be
yeah.
something that would be
I'd say,
fixed.
look, it's not that I know definitely, but just from the fact that it was from when she got a fever when she was younger, we're way better at treating fevers and things now, and not letting them get to the point where they deteriorate us. So, just on that, and just the advancements in modern medicine and everything.
It's because also World War II brought us also penicillin.
Yeah.
So I guess
It brought
that
us
probably helped a lot.
penicillin. Yeah, it brought us penicillin like widespread. Yeah.
So I guess I was just thinking about it. That was one of the first things that popped in my head was like, we could probably treat this pretty easy.
Yeah.
Or
Well,
something like that.
Dude, people used to just die from the flu back in the day. And if you had pneumonia, that was a death sentence.
Gone.
Like,
Yeah.
but it's even like
If you walk the street, then you'll just get smashed by the Ripper.
yeah.
Pretty much.
It's
Isn't
like
it,
they walk anywhere.
Isn't it really eerie too? The way that so like the country's really living in fear of going to war again because we're not too long out of like World War One and the depression and all the negative impacts that had on the world, and it's like at this point in time it's just Germany versus Britain and France sort of thing. Like it's not like like it's like
Going to Poland, yeah.
and in our heads we know the future of what's to come from this conflict.
It's shitty.
And just how they cleverly do that with the looming ships in the sky all the time, and that's always
constantly.
whenever they're finding something nice, those planes fly overhead, and everyone is just conscious that something bad's coming. It's like,
down.
Imagine living like that.
and they knew that the bombs were going to drop. Like my granddad he lived in Glasgow in Scotland. His house got bombed.
Really?
He was in his house, and he had to stick his hand up
Crazy.
through the rubble to get like dragged out, and then they were just
my
living in the
God.
train tunnels. Like that is what happened over there. You don't hear about
That's
that
a
stuff
story.
that much, but it's crazy.
Yeah. Is he still alive?
Yeah,
He should write a book or something.
Yeah, that would be.
My
Should
dad.
get him on a podcast.
yeah.
My dad's writing a memoir just for us, for the kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He just started writing it now.
Yeah.
Like how he got his names and when he grew up in Malta and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Well, that's something
Yeah, do
I've
it.
been
It'd be good.
I've been doing with my grandparents. I'll go over their place every couple of weeks, and I'll get the next part of their story through a podcast,
Oh, he's good.
and then I put it into like a family archive.
Yeah.
But I want to do not only my grandparents, but my parents, my aunties. I want to just have one big archive that
Yeah.
I can give to
Yeah,
like
it's
good,
good, man.
grandkids and such.
Yeah.
But yeah, just
Man, kids these days, they don't care, man. They don't ask questions and anything. It's bad.
most intriguing stories I've ever heard are from elderly people or people who've gone through things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so yeah,
Yeah,
it's just in this movie you see how like the untapped world and like what they were unearthing. And things like in people's backyards and things like that. It's
Yeah.
just such a different life.
Yeah.
And the finding history like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's weird now because now we can preserve everything. Like if we want to preserve something, if we have something that we want to be kept for the next 1,000 years,
Yeah.
we know a way to do it. But back then, there wasn't even the thought. No one cared.
No.
No.
It's funny because they're
history
like,
was.
you know how they're like, oh, this is going to get out and you're going to have people breathing down your neck. Imagine if that happened today with the 24-hour news cycle.
Oh,
you wouldn't be able to do anything.
there's no privacy.
It would be like, what's it called? Batman vs Superman. You have to put a dome over it and do all that shit. So anyway, the kid's tinfoil hat made me giggle a couple of times. Just wanted to say that because I was like, I couldn't stop thinking of what's his name from Grand Theft Auto 5? Trevor? There's a moment in it. Is it him or is it like one of the other guys in it that has like a tinfoil hat and you're always running and chasing after him? Anyway, I kept thinking of that.
Still haven't
Nonetheless,
finished that game.
it's a good game though.
Yeah, it's good, but it's just I'm in a movies. You know how we go through phases.
Yeah.
Games, movies.
I'm
games,
the same.
Movies.
I'm in a movies
Yeah.
phase now.
Yeah, same. Yeah. Yeah, I can't put on a game without falling asleep at the moment
Yeah.
because I'll start playing it and I'm too tired.
Well, after Cyberpunk,
Oh,
I needed I just can't cram anything. I need a break.
Yeah.
'Cause-
chill time.
Yeah, well, I just got so engrossed in it that I need a breather.
Yeah. No, you have to. You need to refresh.
Yeah.
The morning mists plays a big part in the film, more than we know. So I had to bring a little fact in here. The whole reason why Miss Pretty even decided to excavate the site is actually she would have mediums come over her house commonly. And at that point in time, the spiritual type of thing was really big. And she said that she would have these visions of Vikings and holding spears and swords atop the mound of the hill in the mist. And it is something that Simon Stone has come out and said he wanted to include more, was the mist in the fields. And I always, now knowing that, whenever I'm going to ever watch this movie ever again, which I think would probably be in a long time, I don't think it's something easy to watch every week or something. I think I'll always think of the mists in the film. And the location itself is just...
Yeah.
We also subtly
so
hint
cool.
to the medium thing too, don't they? When she says, "I have a feeling about this mound." too.
Yeah.
But they
Yeah, I
don't
guess
really
so, yeah.
egregiously say it.
Yeah. But yeah, supposedly that point in time in history, that was like a pretty common thing with wealthier people,
Yeah,
very
right.
least.
Would have been the only ones that could have afforded it, really.
Pretty much, yeah.
It's still heaps common today.
It is today, yeah.
People just don't talk about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's heaps of a lot of girls do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think a lot of the time people go to things like that to try and find some direction. But yeah. When Lily James comes on the screen, she starts to slowly steal the show.
Yeah.
As an actress in this, because she's given more, because she's becomes a centerpiece.
Yeah, you feel sorry for her.
Yeah.
Well, you should feel sorry for both of them, even her husband.
But also,
back in those
yeah,
times, that wasn't talked about, and sorry.
No, you're right.
Yeah, she was a good person just to let him go, even though she could see it, but he should have, it's a taboo thing back then. He didn't want to say anything.
Yeah.
It was a real awkward relationship. Imagine, she's smoking hot. And he walks in on the bathroom, didn't want to sit next to her. Yeah, it was just odd. Yeah,
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
not fair on both of them.
Yeah, and I didn't even notice it until the bar scene. And thankfully, that's the moment where they start to show that little bit of okay, he's probably gay.
Yeah.
And then you get that moment at the end where you see him go to walk up the stairs, and he goes, "Okay, it's time to follow."
Yeah.
And knowing that the split was so, I don't know, the moment that they have was just so the nod of the head, okay, I get it.
Yeah.
And it's time to start being true to myself and to what we have here.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like it was an angry split either. There's nothing angry about it, or it was just very a touching moment and a sad moment. But then going to him, it's bittersweet. He's going to war. You know what I mean? And my question, I know he's a made up character, but I kind of want to know that story now. There's a weird part of me that's the dig to
I looked
a
up
love story.
If he died or not.
I looked up what really happened to her after, and she did that. Just says that her husband did leave. It doesn't say the details of it or anything
Yeah.
like that. But then her second husband had a psychotic breakdown, and she nursed him in bed. He had to be strapped to a bed, and she nursed him. And then when he recovered, he just left her.
Oh,
Wow.
what a lord, poor lady.
Yeah,
Horrible.
but she kept doing work,
Yeah.
archaeological work and everything. So
Excavations.
It's weird. Oh, just talking like that. I find because I've got an ethnic background. It's the same sort of thing of if you're married to someone, right, and let's say the husband dies at 30, they won't marry for ages. They won't marry. They just wear black clothes all the rest of their life. You'll see that the old ladies around here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just think it's weird.
Well,
It's
different.
It's different, but it's I think times are slowly changing now. You just got to move on and
Yeah, times
enjoy
are
life. Yeah,
definitely
yeah.
changing.
Yeah, that's
It
what I told-
depends on
yeah.
your age as well.
Yeah.
I mean, if someone passes away when they're 75, 80, it's not impossible to find another partner, but
Nah, it's not.
definitely something that most people commonly just say, You know, and usually at that point in time, you've been with your partner for however long, 40 years or something of, you know, extravagant. You know, maybe you're just like, I don't want to. You know? But when it comes to something like Carey Mulligan's character, for example, you know, she's relatively young and it shows a time thing where like that at that point in time, probably it would take a very long time still to find a partner.
I think
because you'd be looked at as being a widow.
I think her condition is part of what holds her back too.
Yeah, that as well. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
The excitement. Anytime something was found in this movie, the excitement that came from it was so cool.
Yeah.
Like they find the gold pieces and engraved works, and the only thing I have a problem with in this moment is that everything looks so shiny.
Oh.
Yeah.
And I'm like, guys, like we're not idiots. You could make it look rusty. It's fine. Like we get the picture of what's occurring. You know what I mean?
But that's being picky.
Is it though? Is it?
Yeah.
I feel like it isn't.
I kind of feel like that's almost done for like time's sake though, right? Because like I do get what you're saying. And it's the same thing when babies are born on screen; they're always super clean and everything.
Yeah.
But is that kind of because we don't really need to see a scene of them cleaning up the treasure for time? You know, like for time's sake, kind of thing.
But if you see the treasure now, it's not even that shiny.
I know, but I think it's to give us. I think it's literally the reason for it. And I'm not arguing. I do agree that it is a bit unrealistic that it would be that shiny. But I think it's the idea of pulling it out and we see gold and our brain instantly goes like, oh wow, they've found something amazing.
Treasure.
Whereas if they pull out something kind of dinky, it's like not as you know what I mean?
Yeah,
but like
it's
not as like
it's a film thing.
Yeah, it is.
That's what it is.
It's sensationalizing it for the sake of the story, I guess.
Well, because a lot of it, I mean, even the helmet, because the helmet's its biggest, most treasured portion of it. I mean, it's the helmet of who they think is a king.
Yeah, Anglo-Saxon.
Yeah. Which I have the name of somewhere here, and I'll bring it up later. King Raedwald. Radwald? Anyway. It's one of... They think it's a king's helmet. And the way that it was actually inside of the ship, it was inside of like a cabin base. And then when they found it, the dirt collapsed into the cabin and literally broke the helmet into like tons of pieces.
Wow.
So they had to re-put the whole helmet back together again.
Shit.
But the thing is that they said the ship was really strong.
The strip club in the ship.
In the ship was really strong. It was pumping. It's
all those poles. Yeah,
all those poles. Yeah, holding it up. They said the ship was really strong, and it wasn't until the earth collapsed from, the excavation that anything was destroyed, the rusted helmets and anything else underneath.
Basil calls it too, doesn't he? When they find the wooden board, he just goes, "It's Anglo-Saxon," and they're like, "No way."
Yeah. That guy. Who's that?
So cool.
Who was that guy with the bunged up nose? What's his name?
His
Phillips
name,
or something like that.
Yeah,
what a wanker.
All the way through the movie.
Even how he was treating Louis James's character,
Charles Phillips.
Well, he's rude to her from when she's like, "Oh, you read my paper," and he's like, "Oh, yeah, it was really interesting."
Yeah.
And she's just she's
it's
like,
a
"Oh,
blatant
he didn't read
lie.
it."
Yeah,
she's probably like the most quality. She's actually written like she's got a PhD and she's written like papers and everything that she's getting shunned.
She's the one that actually knows shit.
Yeah.
Probably knows more than him.
Gets in trouble for stepping and falling through the thing like it was her fault.
Yeah, I know. She copped it all through that movie.
Yeah.
What are you up to?
I'm up to... So here, there's a thing I said here. I just wanted again to touch on Carey Mulligan one more time.
Yep.
To say that the ability for her to show... Her acting chops to show how frail and sickly that she was throughout the film was absolutely astounding. She does have that moment where she goes from being relatively fine to... just a major jump, and that seems to be when she has that little argument with her son, which isn't really an argument, it's just her son getting frustrated with knowing that his mother's very ill. And then from there she's always with a cane, and she's always getting more and more frail forever, as the story continues. I just loved it. I think she just really did a good job. And it says here 9 years after her death. I don't know what that means, so I'm not going to go along with that one.
Yeah, that was.
Oh, that
when-
was because 9 years after her death is when the things were finally put on display.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. That-
Because
yeah,
They were
they
kept in
waited
a,
after the
bomb shelter
yeah,
kind of thing. Yeah.
That's
the
right. Yeah.
war ended,
Yeah.
like,
Because they
what,
just
44
got it to
or
the
so.
British Museum
Yeah.
Yeah.
at that point in time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Actually, I even liked. It was in the movie. Yeah, when they were getting ready for the raid in case Germany came in,
yeah.
they were covering up all the monuments. You see,
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
sandbags and that just to protect them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool to see.
Yeah, that was cool. Yeah.
Even
I always
how,
wondered. Yeah,
how they preserved the ship.
yeah, well, they put
Basil,
the ferns
that,
and
like
that down. All,
the Hessian and then
Yeah.
the ferns.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, that's interesting. I didn't know it would be that simple.
Yeah.
Probably now it wouldn't be like that. They'd have some form of like,
I'm sure they'd
foam
have some,
or something.
they'd have some
But-
sort of technology for it. Yeah.
but like it was cool to see that their idea was just Hessian and
straight down.
Yeah.
Oh,
You know, we've been talking about like the way that this sort of subtly tells its story for like the bigger moments. It plays it safe. Another example too was when she says to it's Robert, the son's name. Is
Yeah.
it Robert. Yeah. She goes, "Oh, you're going to see your father today," and he goes, "I don't." He goes, "I've got too much work to do." And I was like, "Oh, I wonder what's." And then like when you see her in the car with the flowers next to her, and the next thing she's at a gravestone, I was like, "Oh wow, that was like a really poignant way to show the dad's passed away."
yeah,
yeah.
Without just like
Yeah.
making a whole thing of like the story about the kid not being ready to face his dad and things like
Yeah.
that. Like it was, and then the kid later has that moment where he's like, I'm supposed to protect her and I've failed. And then Basil gives that really nice speech where he goes, "We all
Yeah.
fail all
Yeah.
the time." He's like, "Some things
Every
we
day.
can't
Yeah.
succeed at. It's
Yeah.
not possible." Like,
I was gonna say this is a movie that has no fluff
Yeah, it really doesn't have anything of
because like those scenes there, the
Very-
funeral scene, that they cut all that stuff because you don't need it. You just
Yeah.
need visual cues,
yeah,
and I think that's really smart.
yeah. It pretty much is super succinct
Yeah,
to what it has to say, and anything that's in it is of importance either later in the film or just to the story at hand.
yeah.
So
Even the final shot of the three guys that were the original three that unearthed it together, like him and the
Yeah.
two hands that didn't even want to do it at the start. And
Yeah.
then they were so invested by like just of them throwing dirt back on what they had uncovered. That was really nice. And
Yeah.
just the camera was really wide. It was really cool.
yeah,
and it's nice. It did feel like such a smaller film to what we usually watch. It felt like something that someone had a real desire to tell this story.
Yeah.
And they've just gone, okay, we really have to tell this story, and it's fought for it.
Yeah.
I'd love to know a little more about how long this movie has been in the works for. 'Cause
Yeah.
it just feels like that type of film.
Well,
that-
when was the book written?
I don't know. I should have gotten that information, but I don't think it
Sorry,
was.
I didn't mean to put you on the
Shit.
spot.
Fuck. They got me. I don't do all the work.
You can, if you want to. I've got because I've got a
find
relevant topic to talk about while someone
Yes.
looks it up.
yeah. I'll find it.
Did you see that the rights have already been bought to this whole Reddit Wall Street debacle?
Really?
Serious?
Yes, someone has bought the book rights. The guy that wrote the book about the Social Network, that the Social
Wow.
Network movie was based off.
Yeah.
And then someone has already bought the rights to his book to make the movie of this book about the Reddit versus Wall Street thing. So how crazy is that?
That's insane.
It hasn't even been written yet.
It's insane.
And this thing just happened like
Well,
2 weeks ago, and someone's already bought the rights to make a book about it.
I'll give you a little thing. I bought a little bit of cryptocurrency.
Oh, you told us last
probably
time, yeah.
but I bought it just before all this shit occurred. And it was before the whole Wall Street thing occurred. I've doubled it.
Yeah, right. That's good.
Just in like a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Richest chat.
So I'm not saying I'm like sell at this point in time.
Yeah,
It's just
I
going to
find-
drop again.
Oh,
But-
that's crypto. Just leave him there. Just
yeah,
leave it,
but
yeah.
I don't know. I think that it could just disappear at any point in time. But nonetheless, it's it.
There's
Like,
been
you know,
points where
it's-
Bitcoin
just
has
leave it.
gone up, like people that bought like $100 and send it up to 10 grand. I'll just sit on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll
No,
just sit.
Yeah.
But it's at the moment it's sitting there. I know that there's one called Algorand, and that went. I only put about $100 in it, and it's already on 150.
Yeah, I would sit. I wouldn't sell that.
So
Yeah, if
That's
I
not
put
worth,
money-
it's not
yeah.
worth selling yet.
If I put money
Yeah.
in a crypto, any currency like that, I'll just treat it as like a bank.
Yeah.
Just don't touch it.
just
don't
leave
touch
it.
it.
Well, I'm not at the moment. I'm not doing anything
Yeah,
with
just
it.
put like your.
But
Don't put crazy amounts in there because
No,
putting
that-
$100 on Apple back in
I've
1970 or
only,
something.
I've only
Right.
got like $200 in all of it, and
Yeah.
but I don't want to. I don't want to get into that in that extent.
Yeah.
I'm like,
fine. Just for
this
fun.
is my little fun. Yeah, on the side. Anyway.
That book's 2007.
Down so it could have been in the works for quite a while.
Yeah, 10 or 13 years, at least 12.
Yeah.
Can someone give me the facts?
All right, sir. Give us the facts, if you please.
Okay. So, I went digging for the facts this week.
Where's the sound effects?
Yeah, exactly. Put them in, Dan. So this obviously reimagines the events of the 1939 excavation of the Sutton Hoo near Woodbridge in Suffolk, England.
It's actually
It's actually in the same town as Ralph Fiennes was born.
Oh, there you go.
Suffolk, England.
Hey, that Sutton Hoo, the last word, H-O-O.
Who?
It sounds very like Asian. I wonder where that came from.
I think it's
Well,
just
it's Nordic language.
Oh,
so
is it?
their language is like that. The original Welsh, and sometimes in different parts of Scotland, when you drive up, it has the original.
Name.
name underneath.
What's that name for that language? Fuck, I don't remember.
It's like gibberish, eh? It sounds heaps good.
It's not called gibberish.
Yeah, I know, but
Offended so many people.
it's like when you get the proper Irish.
But it's like natural. But what like Wales has another language, and it's shared by Scotland in some like the northern parts of Scotland as well.
Right.
So, yeah. I think that's what the Vikings used to speak.
Yeah, this is not like ancient Vikings, not like runic or anything like that. It's more just like
No, I think
it's almost like Beowulf based.
I'd say they still would have
It's time.
spoken that language. Though.
You think?
Well, they
Like
wouldn't
that-
have been because they wouldn't have been populated by colonial England yet.
right?
Like, and it's still
Still would have been.
early days. I
Were
imagine.
they were invaded by
Look at their names
up
and
there
things.
first, weren't they?
Look at their names.
I
and,
guess
like,
you're right. Yeah, you're probably right. Yeah.
Like who, like Sutton Hoo, would have, you know, like
Yeah.
it sounds Asian, but it would have been like Sutton Hoo or something like that.
Yeah,
Oh,
it would have
yeah.
had some other form of.
That reminds me of the opening battle in Gladiator. The guy comes out and they throw their head, and it goes.
That's a good movie, man.
It was alright.
Wow.
Yeah, I watched it recently. I was like,
I come from the guy that used to have the. I remember when I went for my job
the poster,
interview with you.
yeah.
You had the poster, and you were like, "What are your favorite movies?" Mine are Lord of the Rings, Gladiator, and something else.
yeah, it's changed. You know, people change.
Oh my god. All right, let me finish this.
Scott's best movie, I reckon.
Scott's best movie is
Ridley
what?
Scott, I reckon, is The Martian.
Really?
Yeah, I like that.
Martian's pretty good.
Yeah,
It's good. I don't think that
yeah.
good.
The other movies are like they're good movies. They're not shit.
But then again, you also hate Blade Runner, so.
Yeah, I didn't like it.
It is the site of two early medieval cemeteries that date from the 6th to 7th century. One cemetery had an undisturbed ship.
Wow,
Wow.
that was Ridley Scott saying
Bless you.
sneeze.
With a wealth of Anglo-Saxon artifacts, most of these objects are now held at the British Museum still. Ralph Fiennes actually helped establish an archaeological field school based in Cheshire with his brother. The Polton's Research Project is a multi-period site with a significant medieval cemetery that archaeology students and volunteers help excavate every spring/summer.
Ralph Fiennes helped set it up.
Yep.
So he had a big part. I was going to say that because I think he has an interest in archaeology because the English patient, he's an archaeologist type character as well.
Yeah.
Like uncovering old cave paintings and things like that.
He probably got it from there,
Yeah.
and then has worked towards, more interest in it since then.
Yeah.
That's what
Yeah.
my guess would be.
You know, when I was younger, I wanted to be an archaeologist.
Yeah, because you watch Indiana Jones.
That
Damn.
and Jurassic Park. I love dinosaurs and all that. Yeah,
Movies again.
yeah,
Ralph Fiennes wears a cool Indiana Jones hat in this movie.
yeah. He does. It's cool. Yeah.
He does.
Like,
different color to his suit.
what is-
Is that
Yeah.
would have put me off. But even
But he has no whip, so.
yeah, here's that whip, yeah. I was going to say something else. I forgot what it was. Anyway, move on.
Wow. Okay.
It was going nowhere. It's all right.
Rory Lomax is fictional. That's the photographer.
Yep.
The true photographers of the dig site were Mercy Lack and Barbara Wagstaff. So there you go, little drop. Although Kerry Mulligan was 34 when the film was made, the real Edith Pretty was 56 when the excavation of Sutton Hoo began in 1939. Ralph Fiennes is 23 years older than Kerry Mulligan, while in real life, Basil was actually 5 years younger
Yeah.
than Edith Pretty. The real Basil Brown got a wage of 30 shillings a week from Mrs. Pretty. So he asked for £2 in it?
Yeah, what's the difference between pounds and shillings?
A lot, I think. I think
Yeah, I'm not
30 shillings is
specific
like
on that.
1/3 of a pound, isn't
Yeah.
it? 100 shillings would be a pound. That's what my guess would
I
be.
think so.
I'm not,
I don't count in
know
shillings anymore, though. I don't think. It's pence now.
Is it?
Yeah,
Oh, God, I don't know.
No, they definitely don't do shillings.
Yeah.
Now. I know that.
Maybe
yeah.
someone who's listening from England or something like that.
Yeah, drop a
Comment.
comment.
Comment. School us.
Yeah,
Love being
educate us.
schooled. Yeah.
We're not too smart. Stuart Piggott and Peggy Piggott married in 1936 and divorced in 1954.
Jeez.
So it was well after World War II. In the movie, they only came from their honeymoon in June 1939. Wow. So they had just recently married.
Yeah.
Nicole Kidman was originally cast, but had to drop out due to scheduling conflicts.
I read that. Yeah.
I can see her in this.
Should have been,
You know what I mean?
Should have been pretty good, but I'm glad that we got Kay Mulligan.
So am I.
But she would have been good. It just would have been different.
Yeah, I'm not a
really
Kidman fan. Yeah.
Same.
Yeah.
I don't have a big problem with Kidman. You guys don't like. There's a lot of people that don't like Nicole. I don't really get
I
it.
like her in the others more than anything else.
And Sam Worthington. They're the worst Australian actors.
Dude, she's an Oscar winner.
Controversial. But
I don't stay.
she just doesn't do it
I
for
don't
me.
like her.
Crazy. There's so many worse actresses out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
But she's one of the famous ones of them.
Man, it's crazy.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
Lily James and Ben Chaplin, who play wife and husband Peggy and Stuart Piggott here, had also played daughter and father
Yes.
in Cinderella.
I read that,
2015.
yeah.
I thought that was interesting. Usually I don't like putting stuff like this in here because I'm like, there's so many like this person was cast for it or went to do this, but that's weird.
Yeah.
So here we go. The ship's burial is thought to be of King Radwall, 560 to 624. Although we cannot be certain, the discovery is by far the most important Anglo-Saxon find ever. The value of its finds is inestimable, not just in monetary terms, but in understanding the period. Little can be written about the Anglo-Saxons without reference to this find. So I think we haven't really pushed enough how important this find was upon just the period itself.
Well,
it seems like...
Yeah, well, they learned that they were pretty damn good at building stuff, and they had some sort of society and,
even
education. And
an interesting thing, why they know that this was had to be a man of such wealth
oh, yeah.
was because of his belt buckle. His belt buckle had enough gold that a wealthy man would actually have just in a normal society.
Yeah.
So just the belt buckle itself was something like 300 of those coins. And no one had 300 of those coins. Like a peasant wouldn't have that in their
insane.
lifetime.
Yeah, far out.
And that was on his belt buckle. So walking into a hall, a mead hall would have pretty much had him at the top of the rung. So that's
Hectic.
just one of the little things that, said so much about who was inside of this ship.
Yep.
And that's the end of the facts. Moving on. Final thoughts. Dan.
Well, I'm going to do my score first. So I'm giving this an 8 out of 10. A, I love these type of movies. B, it's shot really well. C, excellent performances from all the cast. Man, and just general feelings. There's like family stuff in here. There's like normal, troubled relationships. Then there's new relationships. It's got a mixed bag of everything in it.
It brings the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, it's when you finish the movie, you just go, man, that was a damn good movie. Yeah. So that's my summary.
Fair enough.
What's going on up there?
I do not know, but that's definitely going to come through. What is going on?
Come in.
Yeah.
I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. It's it's exactly the sort of thing that I like. and I like the way that it subtly explores its themes. Like I said, through the uncovering of the site, and then it brings all these people together, and it's this story about, rebirth and death and relationships and sort of like learning who you are and all that. Like so many characters go through a big change and onto a new path just from the fact that they uncovered this thing.
Yeah.
Like this archaeological dig together. It's really cool.
It's very human.
It is very human. And it's like just such a collection of characters. And isn't this the thing where it's like, you know what, there's a lot of time in movies now where things are criticized because characters don't get enough exploration and things like that. And it's like, oh, I don't know anything about him. Remember that's always a big thing about that. Like, well, we don't even know anything about that person. We barely knew anything about these people, but I knew enough to know who they were and where they were going to go after this. And that was all I needed. And it shows that you don't need that stuff. And I think when we get focused on things like that, it's maybe because there's something else lacking from within the story that we're being told.
Yeah.
So it's just interesting to see something like this. And then I would put it like, this for me is kind of like on that same level as movies like, I've said The English Patient a couple of times, but Atonement and things like that. It's kind of in that in that sort of genre for me. Yeah, it's really good.
Four Feathers.
Yeah,
I remember.
Yeah.
This is one of those movies where if you want to learn how to be a human, stick it in that category.
Yeah.
Like it'll jump into something like the Pixar, all those other movies. Yeah.
But it's like we...
Oh my God, what is going on? I can't not acknowledge it at some point in time. I don't know what they're doing.
It's and like we learned so much through Ralph Fiennes' character too, like just about being a decent human being, things like that.
Pretty much, yeah.
The advice that he gives to so many of the characters throughout. And, and Carey Mulligan, the way that she takes in Lily James and tries to educate her and what she needs, decisions she should make with her life and everything is really cool.
Yeah. All the characters have a very enjoyable plot run. Yeah. And they all have that growth, as you said. Yeah. So that's what does help drive the film at the end of the day.
Do you know what's funny for me too? The guy that was like the lover of Lily James's husband, Mr. Pigott.
Yeah.
He's in The Witcher, and I just couldn't unsee that as well.
Yeah.
Not like a bad, but for me, I was actually consciously watching it going like, Netflix really does sign people up to a movie and go, you have to do another movie for us, because like I was sitting, and then I started thinking about like, Lily James had been in that one with Armie Hammer recently, and then she's in this one, and you had like Henry Cavill in The Witcher, and he's popping up as like Sherlock Holmes and stuff like that. I was like, they totally do a thing where they sign, you have to do more movies for us, something like that.
You got to jump in on this one here as well.
Speaking of Armie, his parent, the rumor has that he's been dropped by his agent.
Oh, all
that crappy.
Do you know actually like as
cannibal,
super weird,
so
as like sort of horrible as all that stuff is that's coming out about him, the one thing I have to say is that Lily James's name was getting dragged through the mud for being a home wrecker, because there was rumors about them having an affair while they were filming that movie. And I like the fact that that is going to get ignored now, and her career can get back on track.
Well,
I was like upset for her that like she was going to get, because it's the way the women always get dragged through the mud worse than the men in those scenarios.
Yeah.
Well, you'd know.
Like, fuck, I hope she gets to like keep her career on track.
You would know if she was being a home wrecker. She'd have a chunk of her leg missing, at least. Come on. Too soon?
With this movie, has it missed the Oscar run?
Well, I mean, it's very early. Yeah.
Oh, you mean for this year's Oscars?
This year's.
Yeah, no,
Well, that's January.
It'd have to be for next year's, I believe.
Yeah.
When is the Oscars? And how are they going to do the Oscars?
I don't know. When do they?
They did it.
It won't have the same. It
last
won't be the same. Oh, to be honest, they probably could have a crowd, because I'm just watching the NBA and some of the games just have full crowds there. It's insane.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
When you think about how bad COVID is,
They've probably already got it.
Like, it makes sense in Australia here. We have full crowds at the tennis, but we like really our COVID issue is nowhere near the level of
not that bad.
Yeah.
Well, it's not.
There was one recently.
to America.
Did you hear about it this morning?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, but he got out of quarantine.
Low amounts.
It was 16 days after he got tested in quarantine twice.
Yeah,
and he came out, and the 16th day he got tested again, and he got positive. And his family are all fine. Like they got tested negative.
They don't have anything either.
So
well, my thoughts on the film generally, I really enjoyed it, and I think we've said a lot about the acting and how the movie looks and everything, and I do think that my biggest thing to bring from the movie is that the choices made really worked well.
Yeah.
So I think that's something that is unacknowledged a lot, because Simon Stone just did a really good job to make sure that the people he chose and the people that he had around worked well to make this severely cohesive. Like, everything came together so well. And for me, I'm giving it a 7.5. Sounds low, but it's a good score. And it's the only reason why is just I wouldn't watch it again. Not for a long time, at least. So other than that, it's a really good movie. And I'd say this is more of a film, more of an art piece.
Yeah, it is.
And well worth everyone having a viewing at some point in time. And I think it's something that, I don't know, probably people more so, maybe over the age of like 16, 18, will find it more intriguing than younger people.
Oh, yeah, for sure. It's not for kids.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just not like it is a drama.
Yeah.
It is a character piece that I think you need to be a little older to enjoy. But yeah. Should we wrap it up, boys? All right. We just reviewed The Dig. You've been listening to Neon Radio Podcast. I'm Reece.
Dig it, I'm Dan.
Cover it with soil, I'm Declan.
Imagine if I just stole your thing.
You have a good week.
Respect.